For Thursday, we will be doing mobility with Latricia Gambrell. And I will have Latricia introduce herself in a moment, one of our mobility specialists. But just a couple of tips here. Maddie will be muting everyone, and to keep the noise down for our presenter, that's very helpful. And Latricia will give us cues when it's ready for some questions and things that Maddie will unmute all of us. You may have to unmute yourself. If you're on a laptop, you would do Alt-A. If you're on some kind of a, whether it's a landline or cell phone, you would do *6 to unmute. But at this point, this is our regular 1 o'clock session. And we do tomorrow have stress management, again, 1 o'clock. And they will be definitely bringing in some meditation and some ways to ease our stress. And then after that is completed, you can segue right into the support group that starts about 2:15 tomorrow. And Monday, we have a show coming up with Kathy for decluttering. Clutter can definitely get in the way of visually impaired, and she will also be giving us some tips on home repair. So definitely that will be a full hour on Monday. And I would like everyone to know that as we get started, Maddie will be running a video of this session so that it can be posted on the Lighthouse YouTube. And for people who couldn't make it at this time, can go back and take a look. Or if you want to see it a second time, feel free to do that. So protocol is to use first names so that we're not giving out personal information. So not to take up too much more time, I would like to present Latricia Gambrell, and she can introduce herself to those who don't know her, and I'll let you take it from here.
All right, thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Latricia, one of the O&M instructors at the Lighthouse, if you are not familiar with me. So today's session, I'm going to be presenting on how to improve your posture and your gait, okay? And today's session kind of goes hand in hand with Terry's session on yesterday as it relates to balance. So those things definitely go together. And both of those things are important as it relates to orientation and mobility, your posture and your gait. As you move around. So basically, as it relates to your posture, that's just the way your muscles, you know, your skeleton holds up your body, okay? And, you know, things that may impact your posture could be anything like your breathing, your muscle growth, and your mobility. So, you know, how you actually move around and the position that you are in will definitely have an effect on your mobility. And especially when, you know, when you're moving and your body is asymmetrical. Does anyone know what being in the asymmetrical position is as it relates to your body? If your body is in an asymmetrical position.
What's that?
Yeah, that's just basically when one side of your body is used more than the other side, okay? So, you know, as humans, your body is naturally asymmetrical in the placement of the organs and everything, the way your body should actually be. But if, as you're moving, if you're not up nice and tall, that's gonna affect, again, a lot of things like your breathing, muscles. And also, you know, if you're starting to move and your posture is not up nice and straight, you may start to feel pain also in your back, okay? So I know when I'm starting to work with people sometimes that may not be in the correct position as it relates to their posture, and some of them will complain of having back pains, and that could definitely be the reason. Also, as it relates to your gait, so Does anyone know what gait mean as you're moving? That's just the manner of you walking, how you're moving your feet as you move through the environment. So basically those two things, again, go hand in hand together. Your posture and your gait, as well as that, those two things are also going to affect your balance. So I'm going to actually move down and start talking about some ways that you can improve your gait as you move around. So one thing that you can do is, as you're walking, you can try to remember to keep your body like in an upright position, okay? So upright meaning you want to be positioned to where your head is looking straight ahead. Because basically as you're walking, and if you're walking and not maybe using any type of mobility aid, most people tend to look down as they're walking. So again, that kind of goes back to the reason as a mobility instructor that we would recommend a person with a vision problem use a cane, because, you know, by learning to use a cane, that gives you a chance to lift your head as you're navigating through the environment, which is, again, very important because that can affect your overall balance and just the way that you move through the environment. You can also try to maintain your shoulders and arm in a relaxed position while you're walking. So you don't really want to be uptight. You want to feel relaxed. Position your toes in the direction that you're traveling. So in the case with some people, as they're moving through the environment, your position that your toes are facing is going to make a big difference in your gait. So you want to always make sure that they're facing straight in front of you as you're moving. Some people tend to turn their feet out. So again, if you're navigating, you may tend to what we call veer if your gait is not, if your toes are not facing in a straight position. Also, the rhythm that you're actually moving just depends on how comfortable you are moving in your environment. Is going to also dictate the speed that you're actually walking. So with some people, that's really going to depend if you are comfortable in that particular environment, the pace that you're going to actually be moving. So a lot of times we recommend is, again, keeping your body upright and paying attention to your gait. If you're stepping up and down a step, posture is going to have an effect on that. Again, you want to be up nice and tall, bringing the tip of your toes to that curb or step, and then you're going to actually step. Excuse me. Again, everything kind of referenced back to having some type of mobility aid that you actually train to use, because again, that's going to help with your balance. It's going to help with your gait, and especially, and posture, sorry. Because if you're off balance, at least, you know, having, let's just say a support cane, if you're actually stepping up and down a step, the cane is going to go down first and then you would follow. So again, that would again allow your posture to again stay up right in an upright position, as well as your gait with your toes heading forward as you step down. Maddie, can you play the video for me?
Yes, I can.
Has anyone ever told you, stand up straight, or scolded you for slouching at a family dinner? Comments like that might be annoying, but they're not wrong. Your posture, the way you hold your body when you're sitting or standing, is the foundation for every movement your body makes and can determine how well your body adapts to the stresses on it. These stresses can be things like carrying weight or sitting in an awkward position, and the big one we all experience all day, every day, gravity. If your posture isn't optimal, your muscles have to work harder to keep you upright and balanced. Some muscles will become tight and inflexible. Others will be inhibited. Over time, these dysfunctional adaptations impair your body's ability to deal with the forces on it. Poor posture inflicts extra wear and tear on your joints and ligaments, increases the likelihood of accidents, and makes some organs, like your lungs, less efficient. Researchers have linked poor posture to scoliosis, tension headaches, and back pain, though it isn't the exclusive cause of any of them. Posture can even influence your emotional state and your sensitivity to pain. So there are a lot of reasons to aim for good posture. But it's getting harder these days. Sitting in an awkward position for a long time can promote poor posture, and so can using computers or mobile devices, which encourage you to look downward. Many studies suggest that on average, posture is getting worse. So what does good posture look like? When you look at the spine from the front or the back, all 33 vertebrae should appear stacked in a straight line. From the side, the spine should have 3 curves, one at your neck, one at your shoulders, and one at the small of your back. You aren't born with this S-shaped spine. Babies' spines just have one curve, like a C. The other curves usually develop by 12 to 18 months, as the muscles strengthen. These curves help us stay upright and absorb some of the stress from activities like walking and jumping. If they are aligned properly, when you're standing up, you should be able to draw a straight line from a point just in front of your shoulders to behind your hip, to the front of your knee, to a few inches in front of your ankle. This keeps your center of gravity directly over your base of support, which allows you to move efficiently with the least amount of fatigue and muscle strain. If you're sitting, your neck should be vertical, not tilted forward. Your shoulders should be relaxed, with your arms close to your trunk. Your knees should be at a right angle, with your feet flat on the floor. But what if your posture isn't that great? Try redesigning your environment. Adjust your screen so it's at or slightly below eye level. Make sure all parts of your body, like your elbows and wrists, are supported, using ergonomic aids if you need to. Try sleeping on your side with your neck supported and with a pillow between your legs. Wear shoes with low heels and good arch support, and use a headset for phone calls. It's also not enough to just have good posture. Keeping your muscles and joints moving is extremely important. In fact, being stationary for long periods with good posture can be worse than regular movement with bad posture. When you do move, move smartly. Keep anything you're carrying close to your body. Backpacks should be in contact with your back, carried symmetrically. If you sit a lot, get up and move around on occasion. And be sure to exercise. Using your muscles will keep them strong enough to support you effectively, on top of all the other benefits to your joints, bones, brain, and heart. And if you're really worried, check with a physical therapist. Because yes, you really should stand up straight.
So as everyone can kind of see from the video that was played, that your posture plays a big part in the way that you move around. And as instructors, as O&M instructors, again, we encourage people to move. We want you up and we want you moving, but we also want you to feel safe. And we also want you to work on having good posture as you move around. So again, a lot of times with clients, when we initially see them, most of the clients will tend to look down as they're moving. And it could be because they are not using a mobility device at that time. So they are trying to be cautious as they move so that they are not tripping or falling over anything. So that's the number one reason that most people say that they look down as they're moving through space. So again, we would encourage you to use some type of mobility device that will give you that chance to raise your head. And again, that's going to affect your posture. So so there are numerous physical and mental benefits of proper posture, as you saw in the video. Having bad posture can present some health challenges to people that may mean that you may need to see a physical or occupational therapist. And as it relates to O&M specialists, with a lot of our clients, we do work closely if a person is receiving OT and PT. Because as an instructor, what we would like to do is try to reinforce some of those things that the PT in particular, may be doing with that client. So if they are out walking the client as it relates to strengthening them, which again will help with their posture and your balance. As we are training with that client, there are certain strategies and techniques that we can use as well that can also benefit that client to help keep them with using good posture as they move. So I'm just going to kind of go through some benefits of walking, up nice and straight and practicing using good posture. So the first one is, if you're up nice and tall, of course, you will, that will relieve pains in your muscles and joints, because again, if you tend to bend over as you're walking and you tend to do that for quite some time, you would definitely start to feel it in your back. And I have, had clients who complain about that. And once they start using, whichever mobility cane is best for them, they do notice that sometimes that pain does go away, because now, your body is up nice and straight. You may see that you have more energy as it relates to moving around. So you may want to move around, more once you're actually in that upright position and practicing using good posture. You may have better lung health. Believe it or not, that affects, again, different body parts as it relates to your posture. Improvement in your digestion. Again, just being nice and upright has an effect on that. Also, having good posture improves your core. It strengthens it. So a lot of times I know when clients are receiving physical therapy, that is one thing that they work on with the client, with strengthening their core, because again, that's gonna also get that client to practice using good posture and get that client to be up nice and tall. Also, it helps with tension headaches. That's another thing that is associated with not having good posture. Is a lot of people will tend to get tension headaches. And then also just being up nice and tall is gonna give you better balance. Again, that's one of the things as an O&M instructor that we try to prevent clients from falling. So again, everything kind of goes together. If you have good posture, if you're walking with a nice gait, meaning you're not walking too fast, you're not taking, really large steps, you have good balance, then you're probably going to be more likely not to have a fall. So that is probably the biggest thing as an instructor when we're working with clients. We're looking at those things as we're training. And a lot of times it's just a matter of giving verbal reminders to the client, or you check your posture. How's your posture looking? Because, with some clients, you're used to looking down for so long that it does take time to remember to keep your head up. And I would probably say, as it relates to training, that's probably the one thing that takes the longest for a client to adjust to, is as they're walking, to remember to keep that head in the upright position. So I know myself, I'm frequently telling clients to, keep your head up, because again, that's going to make a big difference in your balance, and overall how your gait is going to be as you're moving. So is there anyone that's on the call today? Do you feel like as you're moving and navigating around the environment that you try to be cautious of your posture, how you're moving? On the call today, do you feel like as you move around that you try to be aware of your posture as you're moving, try to stay upright, up nice and tall as you move?
45 p.m.
Or do you feel like sometimes you may bend over a little bit more than you would like?
I can comment that I don't have a visual impairment, but I have to constantly remind myself to stand up straight. And I think for me, it's because I'm not active, or I'm definitely sitting incorrectly when I can't, be moving around. But I walk my dogs every morning, and sorry, this is a longer story than I thought, but I found out last year that I have scoliosis.
Okay.
And since I found that out, I have been really focusing on it, but it takes a lot of focus to continuously be thinking about, your shoulders and your abs and holding everything in and being upright.
I was going to say, yeah. And so, just that thing that Maddie mentioned about that, that could be a reason why you are walking, not upright. So it could be some type of medical condition. So, if you feel like that's the case, I would highly recommend that you see your doctor. I know with some people that I have worked with before, they express that they kind of don't walk upright or kind of hold their head down is because of the glare. The sun bothers them as they're moving and walking through space. So a lot of times with that, I would recommend them trying different solar shields that may help with that. And then, in return, then they're able to actually be up nice and tall because the glare is actually cut with them wearing the solar shields. So it could be, other reasons why a person, may not have, posture that's up nice and straight. So again, if you feel like it's something medical, that would be something that you would want to, reach out to your doctor about.
I think this is Maddie, when I work with people who are just starting out with this adventure of mobility training, I know you mentioned that a lot of people look at the ground, and I notice a lot of people are looking at the ground, trying to use that little bit of vision that maybe they still have intact, and they're focusing on little cracks in the sidewalk and, grass that's sticking up and, trying to avoid tripping.
Right. Yeah. So that, definitely relates back to there may be various reasons why people, walk looking down or kind of walk over a little bit. Again, as an instructor, we do encourage clients to, to use your usable vision as long as it's safe, but in some cases it may be easier, to let the cane do that particular job as it relates to finding those small cracks or like Maddie just mentioned. So again, that's going to give you a chance to lift your head and also assist with, with you being upright in your posture. So, there could be various reasons why a person is kind of walking over. I know it's a lot of people also that I work with, especially clients that use walkers as their mobility aid. Sometimes they tend to not stand in an upright position while using their walker. And I know a lot of times if they are receiving PT, that's something that the physical therapy definitely tries to work with them on, is even though you're using that walker, but you still want to keep your body in that upright position. So a lot of times, working with the client that is using a walker, I definitely, look at that, make sure they are not over and they're actually upright in that position. And sometimes with a lot of clients, they do say that is kind of a challenge because you start to depend on that walker to hold you up. So a lot of times they don't even kind of realize they're over until you mention it to them, and they're like, yeah, I do kind of feel like I'm, leaning over a little bit more, and that's because I want to make sure I'm not going to fall. But even if you're upright, holding onto your walker, you should still be safe. Is there anyone else out there that feels like their posture is not so great?
Latricia, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Melissa. I would think some other people have this issue, but I think I tend to have sore neck because I don't have central vision, and the little bit of peripheral vision that I have, I'm turning to use a little bit of the peripheral vision that I have to pick up on some cues. And I end up then with my neck being out of alignment, with the rest of my body. And it's more of a habit that I've developed as more vision loss has occurred. So I have to be very mindful of that. And actually, Maddie reminded me earlier that I was looking sideways again. And so it's hard not to do that. And then you're, stressing out your neck and shoulders.
Right. Yeah, that's another example where, if you have a field of vision loss, of course, you're trying to compensate for that. So again, that could be something that could throw your balance off, could change your posture, could change your gait. Again, you want to take, as it relates to your gait, you want to take nice, straight steps. I have seen some clients that are not sure about their environment, so they kind of what we call shuffle their feet as they're moving. So instead of taking, nice steps, they kind of, it's almost like they're not picking their feet up because they are afraid and they're not sure about their environment. But again, all of those things are going to have an effect on your posture. So it all kind of goes back to mobility training, because again, that's going to give you that mobility tool to help you navigate in those places that you're uncomfortable with, which is going to, again, give you more confidence. So with more confidence, hopefully, again, that's going to change your posture and your gait. I've seen people, once they start using the cane, they used to walk very slow. And then once they learn the techniques with the cane, their gait improves faster. That is just, all a part of training. And that's what's included in training, where you actually work on that skill. You work on, figuring out what's the appropriate gait for you. Because again, you don't want to walk too slow. And then in some cases, you don't want to walk too fast. So, I mean, your posture, your gait, and your balance are really going to determine how comfortable you will become as it relates to moving around. A lot of clients with balance issues, they are, again, afraid to move around because, they don't want to fall. And again, that's the thing that we want to prevent the most. With some clients, that may have a problem with their balance. They may have to use two canes. I think I covered that in a couple of sessions ago, where some clients may need to use two canes. One cane is going to be, for navigating directly in front of you, and then the other cane is going to be to assist with your balance. So again, just shifting with the balance, that's going to help your posture. That's going to help you as you move along with using the appropriate gait. So again, PT can definitely help you improve both your posture and your balance. So, as an instructor, if we are out working with a client and we see something that really appears unsafe, we will recommend to you that you, contact your primary doctor to see if you can get a referral to see a PT. Because again, when it really comes down to balance, that's really the expertise of the physical therapist. Like I say, that's their area. We don't try to cross over. Again, we only work with them as it relates to what we can do as we're training with that person. So it's always good to know if we're working with the person, if you are receiving PT, because then we can actually, again, reach out to that therapist and also work alongside them. So let's see. Is anyone currently receiving PT on the call today? Physical therapy?
Did you want me to unmute everybody again? I muted some people because of the noise.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Just as a reminder, if there's noise when I unmute you, I do mute you again. Sorry.
Is anyone on the call today? Are you currently receiving PT, or have you recently finished with PT? So again, I mean, having good posture is just gonna, it's gonna improve your overall health because it affects so many other parts of the body. So again, we always want to try to practice. keeping good posture. Even if you're not moving, just sitting. You know, a lot of times you'll sit for a while and you don't even realize it. You know, you can kind of bend over. So as myself, I have to remind myself also to check my posture regularly throughout the day. Even when I'm just sitting at my desk, again, it's so easy to kind of slouch over and not even realize it until, again, you may start having pain, you know, in your back or your shoulders, again, tension headaches. All of this is, you know, is related to keeping good posture.
Hey, Latricia, this is Maddie.
Yes.
While I'm not actively going to a physical therapy office, my brother-in-law happens to be a physical therapist, and he talked to me through a few stretches and exercises the other day, because from sitting so much, I actually have pain in my lower back, which also has to do with my posture. So I actually have to do some stretching and exercising suggested by them. And as much as I thought that I could come up with my own stretches, when he was walking me through some of these stretches, it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, what? I would have never thought of how to reach those muscles. So I definitely would get with your friendly neighborhood physical therapist when you're having muscle pains.
Right, because I know actually with working with clients that, you know, have received PT or receiving PT, you know, I think they really want you to do those things daily. And I know as I'm working with clients, I always kind of say, have you done your PT exercises? Because again, that's going to improve, you know, your outcome as it relates to working with the O&M specialist if you're, you know, doing the exercises that you need to do. And I know with some clients, they're like, oh, yeah, I do them, you know, maybe not, but, you know, they are really to strengthen you, and they help you, again, move around, and definitely help with keeping good posture. So, yes, if there are exercises, you know, that you should be doing that was given to you by your PT, those are just as important. And, you know, those things can help you progress in your mobility training. You know, I know with a lot of clients starting out, they may not be able to walk as far, you know, because of back issues. But again, when they start using the mobility cane in particular, they're not having to look down, or, you know, they're able to keep their head up, they're able to go a little bit further. So again, they are improving. So, you know, by keeping good posture, using your mobility cane, you're going to build your endurance, which again, you'll be able to walk a little bit further. And we kind of heard from the video that exercising and moving is important to maintaining your balance, maintaining good posture, and it's also going to help with your gait as you're moving.
Well, Tricia, it's Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yesterday when we were talking about balance, when you're leaning forward like that, whether it's your walker or because you've been hunched over your computer for a long time, you really shift your center of gravity. So it's forward. So it's already forward. If you try and walk and navigate your environment while you have that forward posture, you're going to feel like you're falling all the time, you know, and you're going to, if you do fall, you're going to go that way. Our skeletons are built with the muscles so that we can support us upright. And that's where I was talking yesterday about if you do hit a dip in the pavement, if you're more upright, you can just shift weight. If you're hunched over, you're going to go down. So it's very important to have both of your, you know, your weight distributed evenly so that you can recover from things like that.
Right. Yeah, and you know, and even with your gait, you want to bear most of the weight on the ball of your, you know, your feet. You know, again, it depends on how comfortable that person is with moving. You know, I see clients taking small steps or not even lifting, you know, their feet off the ground. So again, those are type things that can lead to a fall. And, you know, we're all about fall preventions for sure, you know. So there are different, you know, strategies that you can use to try to, you know, but to just kind of remind yourself, like, to check your posture as much as you can. Other questions about posture or your gait?
Now unmuted. Menu bar.
Yeah, I have a question, Latricia. This is Michael.
couple of
Yes.
questions. First of all, it was recommended in the video that you sleep on your side and that you also sleep with a pillow between your legs. Do you agree with that? And why is that important?
I do that sometimes. Yeah, I actually do sleep with the pillow. Like I was just mentioning earlier before we actually started recording, but I think I slept wrong last night. So now I'm actually having back pains today. But I noticed when I do sleep on my side, there's no pain. So I just think it's the position that we're lying in.
Okay. The other question I have is that I find it much harder to walk downstairs than to walk upstairs. Is that typical? And what can I do to improve the walking down the stairs?
That is typical, yes. Most people have most difficulty with going down. I would just recommend you just trying to get out and move around as much as you can, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we did work together a little bit while you were here.
Right.
And are you currently still using your support cane?
I'm not using the support cane. I'm using the mobility cane.
Okay. So what I would, recommend in your case is if you are, going up and down stairs or steps, if there's a railing there, you want to always hold on to that, just to provide some additional support to you.
Right.
Now, as it relates to you going up and down, stepping up and down a curb, is that what you asked, right?
I'm sorry, say that.
Up and down a curb?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Right.
stairs. Mm-hmm.
Basically, you just want to make sure the tip of your toes are at the edge, that you know exactly where the edge is before you actually step down.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
before you step up, you're going to use that same technique. You want to make sure you know exactly where the edge and the beginning of that step up or down is.
Okay.
And it's just a matter of practicing also, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
The more and more you do it, the more comfortable you hopefully will get with it. So I would just say practice, practice, practice.
Although that's hard to do during this virus time.
Alert. Gloria Urbanowski has joined the meeting.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult right now.
Yep.
Do you have any stairs or anything in your home that you could practice inside your home or in the building, or you live in a house, or?
Yeah, I do. There's a basement that we have that is very free of clutter, and it's fairly long, and there are stairs to the basement, so
That may be a good option, until you're able to get outside.
yeah, that's true.
And for safety, I would say go to the bottom of the stairs and work on the, few bottom stairs instead of at the top.
Okay.
Also, Michael, in your case, I would also let someone know that you are practicing that, just so that they are aware. Also,
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
yes. Does anyone else feel like they look down as they are moving through the environment, or kind of tilt forward as you're walking? Or does everyone feel like they have pretty good posture?
Well, from my mobility instructor here in Wisconsin, of course, told me what you're saying, keep the head up. And it's difficult to avoid looking down, but what I try to do is to keep my head up straight and can kind of take a peek with my eyes, keep putting my eyes down, lowering my eyes rather than my head, so I can see, the sidewalk and where the grass is or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
kind of take a peek, and rather than moving my head down.
Right. Right. And that's a difference. I mean, that's different from just walking and your head is constantly down, sorry,
Mhm.
in the down position. So that is different, Michael, in the case that you're describing.
So
And
that's not cheating then, huh?
All right. And I do know clients, that every now and then they may look down just to make sure something, that's okay. But I'm talking about people that constantly walk with their head down, or kind of bent over.
Mhm.
That is not safe. Does everyone feel like you walk at a nice pace, a comfortable pace for you? Or do you feel like you could walk faster? Or do you feel like sometimes you need to slow down? What are your thoughts on the speed that you currently walk?
Latricia, this is Melissa.
Yes.
I think, at least for myself, that if it's an area that I have traveled before and I'm comfortable with that area, I walk faster. If I'm going to an area that I've never been before, I tend to slow down to get my bearings, so to speak, to understand what the layout is. So I really think it depends on if it's a new area or if it's a well-traveled area.
Right. And it's never too late to try to improve your posture, Some people, feel like, I've been doing it for so long, I probably can never change. It just takes time and it takes practice, It's not something, especially if you're used to walking with your head down, it's not something that's just going to happen overnight. You have to just continue to work at it. And a lot of times when, we're first starting to work with clients, I stress that to a client, like, yes, I will remind you when I see you, with your head down, but, that's going to come with time. So we're not going to, stress about it too much, but I will remind you, give you a verbal reminder when I see your head starts to drop. So just know that, that's something that just takes time.
I think too, while we're sitting at home a lot, we are looking down, we're looking down at our laptops. And I like the part in your video that was talking about, your eyes should be a certain level, your feet should be a certain way, your ergonomics and stuff, because you've been sitting at a computer for hours, you're hunched over. When you go to walk, you're still going to be kind of hunched over. You'll have to remind yourself to stand up straighter. So if you can get your workstation to be more upright and looking more straight ahead as well. I have an incline thing under my laptop. So my keyboard's angled and the screen is higher, and it makes it a lot more comfortable to sit here for a long time.
Even as it relates to your gait, you just want to kind of, again, make sure your toes are facing forward and not turned out. Because again, that will affect how you move, how comfortable you feel.
Notifications.
Yeah, it's just amazing when you start to pay attention to all of those things, how they actually work together to keep you upright. Any other input about the importance of keeping good posture?
Yes, this is Amy. Yesterday when I was walking, I was trying to put my shoulders back. And sometimes it's hard to put them back. So I put my arm, my left arm behind my back and grabbed the other arm. And that helped me pull my shoulders back. And I walked like that for a while. And I still had my mobility cane in the right hand.
Okay.
But it was helping me pull my shoulders back with my arm behind me like that. Plus, it started feeling good after a while.
Right, yeah. Yeah, once you start, paying attention to your posture and you kind of know what you need to correct it, and you start trying to do that, most people tell me they can feel when they kind of go back to kind of, leaning in. You feel it. Your body noticed that. So.
Yeah, but it's hard. I mean, all these years not having the best of posture, it's hard to correct it.
Yeah, it takes time for sure.
That's why I was thinking my arm was behind my back was making me pull my shoulders back and pick my, get straighter anyway.
Right.
Get
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, just making sure that your feet are kind of slightly apart from each other. Just a lot of little things that you can just kind of remind yourself to do. And again, it makes the biggest difference.
You know what we really didn't talk on about posture is, does anyone feel like posture impacts the way people perceive you?
Mm-hmm.
And do we care about that? Or
Wait, Maddie.
what'd you say?
I said, in what way? You said the
I
way
mean,
people perceive you.
Yeah, that was like a reason why I wanted to start working on my posture, is because I felt like the way I appeared to other people when I was all slumped over was very different than the impact of me appearing upright, you know, like having my shoulders back and standing up or sitting up or standing up nice and tall.
Right.
I felt like the way people perceived me was different. I would be curious what other people thought about that.
I think that's kind of true. I think when you stand up straight and you're walking, it looks like you have confidence and just, you know, that you're aware of your surroundings and things like that, as opposed to you being bent over and just focusing on some other little small area. I think safety wise too, it's important that people know you're upright and you're kind of scanning the environment.
I always tell clients, you know, what we call a normal person, we walk around with our head up, right? So, you know, we want everyone to look like a normal person would look. So you're going to, you know, blend in with everyone else, as opposed to walking around looking down. You're definitely going to, you know, stand out more. So I think, yeah, that kind of goes with what you were saying, Maddie. You want to feel, you know, you're wondering about what other people are going to think of you. And a lot of people really, you know, that I've worked with really appreciate, you know, getting the cane in their hand and they're able to lift their head, because, again, they do feel like, hey, this is what a person would normally do. You walk with your head up. So it makes them feel a whole lot better. So, again, that's going to affect.
Well, this is Melissa. I have a question for Maddie. I can't really see if you're slumped over a little, but my question for you is, do you feel as though when you're standing upright and you have your shoulders back, are you speaking with more confidence than when you're hunched over? Is your voice quieter and a little less secure? Because you can pick up, when you can't see someone, you pick a lot up from their tone of voice, how they're speaking and everything. So I guess I'm asking you, listen to yourself when you're walking up straight and talking, if you project more than when you're hunched over. I'm curious about that.
I definitely would correlate standing up straight with my general confidence too. So
Okay.
yeah, it probably does impact how, you know, my voice is perceived or tone or whatever. I definitely think I feel more confident when I have proper posture. Proper posture.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know, the other thing that, you know, we would like for you to remember, that if you are receiving PT or you receive PT in the future, that it's okay, you know, to let your instructor know, the mobility instructor know, because we actually like, you know, collaborating with them to try to help you, you know, the best that we can.
Also, this is Amy again. Also, chiropractors are good too for helping you straighten your back.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel good after a chiropractor visit.
Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Latricia, I think another way to maybe help your posture is like at the end of the day, if you're laying in bed or something, you can roll a towel up lengthwise and like put it under, and that'll help, and just let gravity kind of pull your shoulders back. Things like that to help stretch those muscles, or standing in the corner of the room and just putting your palms up and pushing into it a little bit can help stretch those front muscles out that are getting tight.
Yeah.
And help you with your posture that way.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely things that we can do each day to help improve it. You know, because we're all about move. Some type of movement each day. Are there any other questions, comments that anyone wants to make?
Might be a good excuse for a massage too.
I know, right? I can use one right now.
Yeah, that's true. Sounds good.
I haven't had one in 4 weeks and I'm ready for it.
I like how you chose this topic because I don't think a lot of people would necessarily connect it immediately with mobility. But balance and proper gait, or
yeah, that's gonna affect, you know, again, how far you're able to walk in the beginning of training, you know. Again, strengthening your core, that's gonna help you move further also. So yes, it plays a big part in mobility training. You know, I can see a client, you know, from the beginning of training and then the end, they're able to walk further. Because they are working on those exercises that were given to them by the PT. They are practicing, like Michael was asking, how can I get more comfortable with stepping up and down a step or a curve? It just takes practice. All right, if there are no more questions or comments, that is my session on posture and your gait.
Well, Latricia, I want to say thank you. Great session today, and I think we've all learned quite a bit. And I know I'm trying to sit up straighter as we speak and keep my head straight. So thank you very much. And I want to thank everyone that joined us. We love seeing our clients, and we love that our clients are supporting the Lighthouse, and we're still going. And just a quick reminder that 1 o'clock.
did Melissa disappear for other people?
No,
Yes.
She's frozen.
Yes,
He's frozen.
Oh, Melissa. Okay.
So I want to just say thank you to everyone. And we'll see you tomorrow at 1.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.